Welcome to Digital Learning, an initiative of Directorate of Collegiate Education, Government of Karnataka. Eloquentia 1, the first semester general English textbook prescribed for BSc first years, is prescribed for Bengaluru City University. I'm Nandana NJ, Assistant Professor of English at Government First Aid College, Malleshwaram. Ode to a Ocean by Amanda S.A. Gorman is one of the poems prescribed for the general English text. In the previous session, that is the first session, I have in detail dealt with the poetess, the introduction to the poem, the purpose of her as to why she wrote the poem, etc. So we are more or less familiar with what we can expect in the poem. In this session, I'll be dealing with the detailed analysis, in fact, line by line analysis of the entire poem. The contents of the session will be as follows. Recap of the previous session so that we'll be able to understand the poem better. The presentation of the entire poem, stanza-wise explanation of the poem, the literary devices used in the poem will be dealt here. But also I would like to add in a fact that in the next session related to the poem, all the literary devices will be explained in detail. And in the end, we shall also have a recapitulation session. Let us try to recapitulate what we learned in the previous session, Ode to Our Ocean, session number 1. Amanda S.A. Gorman is a renowned American poet and activist. If you remember her introduction, we by now know that in 2021, she was hardly 22 years old when she was given the opportunity of reciting the poem at the inauguration of the president's, tenure. This opportunity at such an young age of being an acclaimed poetess for such a great nation has literally opened wonders, or it has done wonders to her career. And not only that, she is also one of the most popular black writers who is able to continue, or who is able to express her thoughts very clearly about equality and justice in her work. The themes in her work, as we saw, she has been influenced by Maya Angelou, the black writer. So as a result, we can see that most of her works deal with inequality, how justice has been denied for black people in particular. And also she has used the same themes towards nature, how nature also has been a victim of humanity, and how if humanity has to survive, nature also has to be restored. And then we also saw the definition of an ode. The poem is titled Ode to an Ocean. We saw the definition of an ode. To reiterate, ode is a type of a poem which is in the form of an address, or it is addressed to somebody. For example, if I tell you something, there is previously a poem written by one of the greatest poets. It is titled Ode to a Cat. You might wonder, is there really such a poem? Yes, it is. So any poem which is written in the form of an address to anybody, you can also write an ode in the form of praise towards a pen or a computer, etc. But if the poem takes the form of a address where it is being praised, then it is known as a ode. So here it is titled Ode to Our Ocean, as the poetess dedicates the entire poem to the ocean. And then we also saw the purpose of the poetess in the previous session. The purpose is very clear. Environment is of quintessential aspect. Without environment or without nature, humanity cannot survive. And ocean or the sea makes up of 70% of the world's water. If not for the ocean and all the marine life inside the ocean, humanity also will definitely go towards the we will perish. And we were also introduced to the themes that are prevalent in the poem. Now, I'll be reading the poem. I'll first read the stanza line by line, and later we shall also look at the explanation. The first stanza reads thus: the sea sings out to its many saviors. Saviors means people who try to help. So here the sea is singing out or calling out to many people who are willing to help her, or who are willing to save her. So saviors is a plural word. It shows not one person, but there are many people who can be called as saviors. See, who are all the saviors according to the poetess in the first stanza? It is clearly given here. Teenagers with fists thrust into the air at climate strikes. This definitely refers to Greta Thunberg, the schoolgirl activist from the country of Sweden, who, in her iconic pose, lifted her, fist in the air when she questioned everybody, "How dare you?" In fact, what she was trying to ask was, "How dare you ruin the future for us? Because we are exploiting nature to such a great extent that for girls like Greta Thunberg or for their generation in the future, they might not have anything left to look forward." So she expresses her anger with her fist thrust into the air. So this is one of the example of the people who can save the sea. Second being the scientists converging around their data. Definitely the people of science are the ones who have been able to, more or less we can have to credit them. If not for the scientists, by now we would not be aware of how much pollution has had a great impact on the marine life. So scientists are definitely one of the saviors who can definitely help the ocean or the sea to preserve itself. Now, the last line is a slight surprise. I have, incorporated the image related to the last line there. A child who stoops to scoop up a piece of trash. Now, this compared to the previous two saviors, this seems to be slightly out of, it maybe it doesn't go with the flow. How is it that a small child picking up trash add to saving the sea? But then you have to remember, the poetess has a purpose in her saying that. Now, look at the picture here. We can see the small child picking up trash. You might wonder, how does it matter? How can one person picking up a trash add to the saving of nature? Definitely yes. One person's action or contribution will always have a chain reaction. Looking at the small child, many adults or many other children might also be compelled to pick up trash, and as a result it might definitely result in preserving ocean. I shall just give you an example. Just imagine or visualize this. Imagine all the people in the world at one time are able to pick up a piece of trash. I guess at least a part of the world will be clear, or at least a part of the world will be better due to that 1 second action. So if all of us do it continuously, maybe the ocean or the sea also can be saved. The explanation, to reiterate again, she introduces the ocean as a meeting place of movement and stillness. That's true. Ocean outwardly looks very still, but inside, due to all the marine life, a lot of movement is there. How at the surface level humanity is moving around in society, likewise underneath the ocean they too have their own lives there. The sea calls out to its protectors or saviors, and they being climate activists, scientists, and even children. It highlights that everyone has a role in saving the ocean. So the this being the crux of the first stanza, that everybody can be a savior of the ocean. It also suggests the ocean's rhythm and its connection to the earth. It shows hope in human action and environmental awareness. Yes, environmental awareness is not the prerogative of only scientists. All of us have to be aware. In the present generation, we cannot say that my actions are not to be, considered. I'm an individual. I don't have to bother. Of course not. We are living in society, and society is a part of environment, and each of our actions definitely has an impact on environment. The first stanza also emphasizes that everyone can contribute to saving the ocean. So the poem has a very, the beginning seems to be very strong or powerful. It is like the call of the, like a war call, wherein she is calling everybody. She is, trying to gain the attention of everybody so that they come together to save the ocean. The second stanza: the sea sings out for its singular subjects, arching whales that wave from their waves, turtles that teeter down their shining shores, coral reefs shining brightly as cities. Uh, in the human world, I mean, whenever you go to any of the major metro cities, I'm sure you're dazzled by all the glitter that is there. Like if you go to any of the cities in the night, all the lights, the neon light, it adds to the glitter. You might think that the cities of the world are the most attractive or the most dazzling or mesmerizing ones. Of course not. If you go into the ocean, inside the ocean, you can also see that the marine life has its own way of living, and their cities are much, much better or mesmerizing than the human colonies. So in the second stanza, she says, the sea sings out for its singular subjects. Now, the sea, it is calling out its subjects, or all the organisms that reside within the sea or the ocean. And who are they? You can see that inanimate and animate objects are included. First one, arching whales. Whales are considered to be one of the largest mammals. So arching whales that wave from their waves, turtles that teeter down their shining shores. So these are two example of animals. Not only them, even coral reefs shining brightly as cities. So the image that I have incorporated in this slide pertains to the last sentence, coral reefs shining brightly as cities. In fact, if at all you get a chance to go underneath, like for example, scuba diving, you can see that all the coral leaves, and when the sunlight falls on the ocean water and as it is reflected inside the ocean, we can see them as brightly lit as the cities. So in this stanza, the poetess is describing the sea, or it is celebrating its creatures and its life. The sea celebrates its creatures, whales, turtles, coral reefs, etc. It is shown as vibrant, that is full of life and alive, needing protection. Definitely they need protection. Uses poetic imagery to show the life and wonder of marine ecosystem. We have human ecosystems likewise beneath the ocean. Marine ecosystems are definitely in place. The second stanza also personifies animals and nature to create emotional connection. The third stanza, the sea sings out its suffering, knowing too much of waste, screeching sounds, and pernicious poison, its depths bruised by atrocities in the Atlantic, misery in the Mediterranean, its tides the preservers of time past. This stanza has a very, alliterative quality here. We can see that. I'll come to the literary device later. The first line, the sea sings out its suffering. Yes, definitely the sea and the ocean are victims there and victims of humanity. As a result, it is suffering. But the difference between humanity and nature is that we human beings have this, we are the crown of the creation, or we consider ourselves as the crown of the creation. And we have two aspects that differs us from the remaining species. And what are the two aspects? The capacity to think and the ability to speak. As a result, we can express our pain. For example, you have a headache, you can tell from your words that you are suffering from a headache. But do you think nature can express her pain? Do you think the fish inside the ocean can express how much it is suffering due to the inadvertent overfishing there? Of course not. The sea sings out its suffering, knowing too much of waste. This refers to all the waste that has been dumped by humanity in all the ocean and the seas. The screeching sounds. These sounds could refer to the drilling that happens beneath the ocean in search of oil, or at times all the optical fibers for the internet that are being laid down on the ocean beds. As a result, humanity is misusing or exploiting each and every inch of the ocean or the sea. As a result, all these unnecessary sounds or screeching sounds are adding to the misery or suffering of the marine life. And pernicious poison. Pernicious refers to very dangerous poison. Its depths bruised. The ocean floor is already exploited, excavated, and bruised by the atrocities. Atrocities refer to excessive damage in the Atlantic, misery in the Mediterranean. So these are the two names of the oceans that the poetess has particularly used here, Atlantic and Mediterranean, because most of the wars have taken place there and most of the ships have sunk here. And look at the last sentence, its tides, the preservers of time past. I have incorporated a photo here which shows a shipwreck. The ship is now lying or resting on the ocean bed. We can see a person who is trying to salvage whatever that is found in the shipwreck. See, this picture, I find it very ironical. We human beings try to salvage even whatever human-made objects are. If it is lost even on the ocean bed, we are willing to go to the depths of the ocean to salvage whatever we want or whatever we deem as important. In the same context, aren't the lives of the animals in the ocean important for us to salvage? Why do we attach so much of importance to man-made things like ship or treasure for that matter? Why do we go to such great extremes to salvage treasure, but why don't we think about the animals that are being hurt there when we go about doing all these things? So our poetess in this stanza talks about the suffering that all the inhabitants of the ocean undergo. The poem describes the ocean's pain from pollution and destruction, referencing its global suffering, mainly the Atlantic, Mediterranean, etc. It describes the ocean's wounds caused by human negligence and climate harm, names specific regions to show global suffering, for example, Atlantic and the Mediterranean. Now look at the stanza 4. The story of the ocean and the story of humanity. Imagine them as two points of extremity. The story of the ocean and the story of the humanity are one and the same. A great river that knows no borders and notes no lines, only ripples. While we might call it the seven seas, today we sing out your true name, the one ocean. For no matter how we try to separate your waters, you are the colossus that connects us. Stanza 4, we can say that the poet's purpose can be seen in particularly in this stanza. I have incorporated two pictures here, which I'm not going to say it does justice to the stanza, but yes, more or less they highlight at least a bit of the theme that has been discussed in the fourth stanza. The story of the ocean and the story of humanity. Yes, both our stories are one and the same. See, ocean, if you really look at it that way, we human beings have given names to different kinds of ocean. For example, Indian Ocean, Pacific Ocean, Atlantic, Mediterranean, etc. But then if you really look at it that way, all oceans are connected and there is no clear demarcation like how we human beings have in the context of cities, places, countries, nations, etc. The water body seems to be one that stretches all over the world. So in that context, all the oceans throughout the world can be considered as one great river that knows no borders and notes no lines. There are no lines of demarcation, only ripples. Ripples, again, this word has a different denotation. Ripple always means any action that has related consequences. A ripple on the water, it refers to how when you throw a piece of trash into the ocean, the waves go in a ripple motion. But then the trash that you have thrown, it also goes into the water and it is consumed by a fish which might die. See, it has a chain of events there. So while we might call it the seven seas, she's referring to the seven kinds of seas. Today, we sing out your true name, the one ocean. So the poetess recushions or she gives her name to the ocean or the water body by combining all the seas. She says, the one great ocean. For no matter how we try to separate your waters, you are the colossus that connects us. Definitely true. We can never ever say this ocean or this sea is better than this. It is all a complete water body and they are the ones, or the water is the one that connects us. Now, particularly observe this image, we can see how all the hands, one drop of water, when it falls from one palm or a one hand, you can see that it filters beneath and then it enters the ocean. So it is like one action leads to a chain of actions. The explanation of stanza 4, the ocean and humanity are portrayed as one. We are all bodies of water. Protecting the ocean is protecting ourselves. But then we seem to be only interested in protecting ourselves. All human beings are interested in doing is exploiting nature or water or sea, whatever, anything else. Somehow I feel human beings seem to have this ideology that all other species exist just for our exploitation. God did not create all other species. In fact, we are one of the species. He did not say, human beings, you are the best of the species, you can do whatever you want. Of course not. Again, it depends if you believe in God or evolution there. Protecting the ocean also is like protecting ourselves. The stanza also highlights the deep connection between humanity and ocean. It rejects boundaries, like how we human beings have these boundaries, these lines that demarcate. We have boundaries everywhere. You have boundaries in the home also. We have different rooms which are boundaries, wherein we say this is the living room, this is the sleeping room, etc. And then buildings that have are again one more example. The school, house, home, or the office, these are again boundaries. Countries, states, again clear boundaries. But then when it comes to the water, she rejects all of it and refers to it as one ocean. She presents the sea as a unifying force that connects all people. Water makes up, in the stanza 5, she says, water makes up 70% of earth, 70% of the human heart. This is the most important aspect of the poem. See, how the world is made up of 70% of earth, likewise, a human body is also made up of 70% of water. And 70% of the human being, all of us are bodies of water, not water bodies, bodies of water, for we too are oceans, or at least beings bobbing in the same boat. It's a very, very excellent analogy by the poetess, wherein she compares the earth to a human being. So we have these similarities. We are similar. We have similar nature there, or at least things bobbing in the same boat. Bobbing refers to when a kind of thing that doesn't sink, but it keeps floating, and according to the water, it keeps bobbing, going up and down. To stand up for our ocean is to stand up for our own ship. So by when we are trying to save ocean or nature, when we speak up for this ocean, we are trying to save our own ship. She tries to draw a parallel between the ocean and the human body. She suggests that to protect the ocean, it's to protect ourselves, introduces the idea that we are interconnected with nature. Stanza 6. The sea is a restless, strong collective of many pieces. So are we. That's definitely true. Sea is restless. Restless as in sea is not always calm all the time. Outwardly or in certain times it looks calm, but then it also is restless. We too, human beings, we can't be stable, emotionally stable or calm all the time. We can't be happy all the time also. We are a collective of many pieces, like how the ocean is. The ocean can recover, and so will we. Now, that's a very, very positive aspect to look ahead to. If we are able to get over our negative aspect, if we are able to get over the pain, misery, etc., then the ocean also can do it. Let us not divide the tides. Let us not divide or exploit the ocean further, but discover all they have to teach us. Why do we take it that the ocean is there for us to be exploited? Why can't we take it that the ocean is there? It can also survive along with us. Uh, we have to imagine the marine life within the sea as our brothers and sisters. Only then we'll be able to accept that they too are important. Green meadows of seagrass that survive pathogens beneath the ocean. With the clear seas, you can see green meadows. Green meadows refer to farmlands, not only on top of the, or not only in the world, but also beneath the ocean, of seagrass that survive pathogens. Pathogens refers to this virus. Blue-blooded marine snails that can fight off viruses. So these unique, different, or this, hardly ever found important elements or organisms are found underneath the water that are definitely very, very useful. For example, the blue-blooded marine snail that can fight off virus. There are more lessons to learn. We are yet to understand. There are still, in fact, you'll be surprised. Humanity doesn't know everything. Science knows only a part of what is there in the world. In fact, around 10% of it. Still more is yet to be discovered. In fact, only if ocean is left, we'll be able to discover anything, isn't it? So if we are able to retain the ocean and the marine life within it, then maybe we'll have more lessons to learn, and that also will in turn will help humanity survive. The ocean is made up of many parts, just like humanity. Together we are strong. Both the ocean and humans have the power to heal and recover. We should not divide the seas, but learn from their wisdom and resilience. Nature teaches survival. Seagrass and marine snails show how life can fight diseases and adapt. I think by now, we humanity has also learned a valuable lesson. For example, very recently, COVID is one pandemic which has brought the entire world together. Every country has been a victim of this pandemic, but then we have overcome the adversity. See, this is how we learned our lessons. So by nature also is trying to teach us how to survive, but then we have to make sure we let them live. Stanza 7. Still more work to be done. So this is the last stanza. Still more work to be done. So we lift our faces to the sun. May the seas help us see healing and hope. May we sing out the ocean's survival and revival. Being the people of this blue planet is our most profound privilege and power. For if we be the ocean's saviors, then it is surely us. Uh, See, the poetess is, how do I tell you? The poetess has expressed her all her, positivity here in this stanza. She says, yes, it's not that we are not doing anything to save the nature or your environment. We are doing it, but then still more work needs to be done. So we lift our faces to the sun. The action of somebody looking towards the sun refers to how they are willing to face the adversities or do whatever it is required. May the seas help us see healing and hope. Healing and hope, these are two words which has positive connotations. May we sing out the ocean's survival and revival. Only if the ocean survives, if we can be able to revive the marine life within it. Being the people of this blue planet refers to Earth. Being the planet of this blue planet is our most profound privilege and power. As I told you, we human beings, we think we have the privilege everywhere, and it is right. We have the profound privilege and power, but the thing is, we are misusing it. We are using it to exploit all other natural resources. Why don't we take it the other way? Why don't we say we have the privilege? We'll use the privilege to lift the downtrodden, or we'll try to save oceans and the marine life. For if we be the ocean saviors, concentrate on the last two lines. These two lines end the poem on a very, very positive or a optimistic note in the future. For if we refers to entire humanity, if we be the ocean's saviors, then it is surely ours. If we are able to save the ocean, then the ocean will be ours. In the first stanza, the poetess called out to the ocean's saviors, and in the last stanza, she refers to the entire humanity as ocean saviors. That is to say, all of us has a task cut out for us, and if we are able to do our task, then definitely we can save the nature. Call to action. So in this stanza, the points that can be reiterated are call to action, a reminder that there is still important work to protect the ocean ahead, hope and healing. The poet expresses a wish for the ocean to guide us toward healing and hope. Privilege and responsibility. Living on earth is both a gift and a responsibility we must honor, but we seem to have taken it for granted. Shared destiny. If we share the ocean, we are ultimately saving ourselves and our future. The literary devices used in the poem. Personification. Personification refers to giving life to inanimate objects. So here, the ocean, it literally doesn't mean inanimate. Of course, it has marine life there. But then anything which is not a human being, and when it is vested with human qualities, that is known as personification. So throughout the poem, the poetess personifies the ocean as a kind of a bird or a person who sings. So that is the major literary device. And repetition, 70% is been repeated everywhere. So that is one of the major things. Imagery, the vivid pictures of sea creatures. And the metaphor literary device that we can see is humans are equated to oceans, human as oceans. As I told you in the beginning, in the next session, all the literary devices used in the poem are discussed in detail. What is the message that we can look forward in this poem? The message of hope. The ocean is a living, sacred force that connects all life on earth. Human and natures are deeply linked. What harms the ocean harms us. Everyone has a role in protecting and healing the ocean, from scientists to children. Caring for the ocean is our responsibility and privilege as citizens of this blue planet. The poem ends on a hopeful note. The ocean can recover, and so can we. It calls for learning from nature and acting together. So the final thoughts or recapitulation. How can we help the ocean? I have incorporated this image here. What are the points that it talks about? Use fewer plastic products, clean the beach, and cut sustainary elements, save water, or use eco-friendly products. Amanda Gorman's poem is a powerful call to action for environmental conservation. It connects deeply with our shared responsibility and unity. Together, we can survive. Maybe if we try to do these aspects which are depicted in the picture, to some extent at least we'll be fulfilling our duty. The references used for this session. Thank you.